weekend. We're back with our teacher, Russ Willett. We're going to get schooled today on, Russ, welcome. We're going to get schooled today on how to taste tobacco. Now, I know that must sound simplistic, this and that, but let's say I want to become, I want to have your nose, Russ, or I want to attempt to have your nose, your taste buds and all that. First of all, what do I have to do to learn how to taste tobacco?
Okay, well, the first thing you got to do is to make sure that nothing else is influencing your taste. So you may have eaten just before you're lighting up a pipe. If you had macaroni and cheese, the fat from the macaroni and cheese is going to linger on your tongue, and it's going to preclude you from being able to taste everything. And if there are strong smells in the area where you're tasting, you're not going to get the true flavor because the majority of taste is in the aroma. So my tip for people who are trying to do a tasting, maybe breaking down the flavors, things like that, is smoke outside.
Really?
Yeah, fresh air enlivens your palate. Ever notice you get a cup of coffee, you're taking a couple of sips in the kitchen, you decide you're going to go outside and sit. And you go outside and you take another sip of coffee, and the coffee tastes better when.
As a matter of fact, it does. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's because you've got that fresh air to help cleanse your sinuses. And so you're going to taste things better when you're sitting outside. Now, obviously, cold weather, you're not going to be able to do it. But, that's really the best environment for tasting tobaccos. And then you need to have something to cleanse your palate.
Now, well, let me ask you something. When would be the best time of day to do a tasting like this? Is it you get up in the morning?
I don't think that really matters. I don't think that has an impact on it.
But I mean, you got to cleanse your mouth with something. If you've eaten, if you brush your teeth,
Yep.
if you just had coffee. Yep. So how do you cleanse your mouth?
Okay. Well, the majority of people who are going to try to cleanse their palate are going to do it with water. And water's not bad. I mean, it's neutral in flavor, so that works out great. There are a few different qualities of different drinks that will help. Effervescence is one. So seltzer will do a better job of cleansing your palate than regular water.
But isn't seltzer a little bit salty?
No, seltzer shouldn't be. That's just carbonated water.
Okay.
Club soda has a bit of a salt to it. But seltzer is just supposed to be carbonated water. So that'll work. And then anything with tannins, like tea, dry white wine. Those things will also help cleanse your palate. And then a third thing that can do the job because it's a solvent is alcohol.
Like what? Like not a scotch, forget it.
No, not scotch, and not like a bourbon.
Okay, because so you're talking tequila, a vodka or something like that.
Vodka would be one, but there's one drink in particular that has all three properties. It has effervescence, tannins, and alcohol.
I think I know it. A gin and tonic.
Champagne.
Oh, jeez. So champagne will do that with clean your palate.
It does a beautiful. Why do you think champagne is often served with cheese and fruit?
I never thought about that.
It's because the sip of champagne helps clear the fats from the cheese off your palate.
Who knew? Who knew, man? So okay, so forgetting the alcohol because not everybody can do
Right.
alcohol.
Right.
A seltzer is a good thing, right?
A seltzer is really good, and even the flavored seltzers are fine because there's no added sugar. It's just the essence from whatever they flavor it with.
Okay.
Like if it's a lemon lime seltzer, they just use the essence from the lemon zest and the lime zest to flavor it.
No,
So there's nothing there to linger
yeah, but
behind.
won't that affect your taste and tasting of Virginia?
No, it fades real fast.
Okay, okay. So what
Yeah.
are the tools now? What are the tools you need after you've cleansed your palate? Exactly, like in terms of smoking apparatus.
Okay. Um, you, as far as picking a pipe goes, there's really only one economical answer for doing tastings, and that's a clay pipe.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
and the reason is because you can take a clay pipe that's been smoked and you can neutralize it again.
How do you do that?
If you have a charcoal grill, get your charcoals going, cook your steaks, and while you're at it, stick the bowl of the clay pipe right in the coals.
Really?
Yeah, let it sit there for half an hour, whatever. If you got a gas grill, just arrange it so it's over the flame. And then what will happen is the residue will burn away.
Right, right.
And so now you can bring it back to neutral. You know, a lot of people say, well, I just buy a bunch of cheap corn cobs. Corn cobs are not a good answer
I
because
understand.
there's sugar in the cob.
Mm-hmm.
So it adds sweetness to whatever you're smoking.
Yeah.
And briars, whatever you smoke in a briar is going to ghost the pipe. I don't care how good you are at cleaning, there's something that's going to be left behind. And meerschaums, they're fine the first time. So if you got a brand new meerschaum, it's great, but you're not going to get it back to neutral after the first bowl.
Because it's porous?
Exactly the reason, because it's porous. But clay works because clay can withstand a lot of heat, because to make them, you got to fire them in a kiln. So they'll withstand high heat, and you can clean the pipe and use it again.
Okay. And what about ceramics?
There aren't very many ceramic pipes out there anymore. There used to be. You used to be able to get a Zenith porcelain pipe from Holland, and then all you have to do is wipe it out and rinse out the shank good and run a pipe cleaner through the stem. But practically nobody's making those anymore.
Mm-hmm.
The pipe, which was a monstrosity from the 70s, would be great because it was made of phenolic resin.
Yeah.
But the chamber was made of pyrolytic graphite, so it didn't affect the flavor. And so, I mean, you could run hot water through it without an issue. But they haven't been made since, I think, the 80s.
Okay.
So really today's best option is clay.
Okay, I'm gonna have some hold on a second. Some of this happening.
Okay.
Now, okay, Russ. So here are the different tongue parts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like I was smoking yesterday when I was smoking the Viprati, which, my God, what a memory you created in me. That is the most that I've never felt so Italian in my life. I don't know how. I mean, you're not Italian and you nailed it, but you nailed it hard. Nougat, almond cookies, the little amarettis,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm getting shivers just thinking about it. I swear to God. Granita, Russ, unbelievable. Okay. Now, what I was when I was tasting the Viprati, because I didn't want to educate myself so much, because then I'm going to be losing my whole. I'm in bliss. So I gave it 5 minutes, and it was from my mid tongue down to my soft palate, and it had, and correct me if I'm wrong, please. For me, it had nice high notes, extremely rich middle notes, and even a nice chocolatey moussey, for lack of a better word, but moussey bottom.
Yeah, that's a combination of the fire cured burley combined with the Perique.
So where did the burley hit me on the tongue?
Well, okay. So I see your illustration here.
Right.
How PC are we here?
Politically correct?
Yeah.
I don't understand that word, sir.
Okay, that's fine. This illustration you have is bullshit.
It is?
It's bullshit.
Well, I prepared myself just in case. Let's unbullshit the that, and we'll go here.
Okay.
How's that?
Okay. Now we get into some good stuff.
You see what I'm saying?
The zones on the tongue, there are areas of the tongue that have a greater concentration of certain types of taste buds. The best example is the tip, because there are more sweet sensors in the tip of your tongue.
Okay.
But the taste buds for sweet, sour, whatever, they're all over your tongue. But there are spots where there's a greater concentration.
I get you.
But that whole illustration.
Yeah. Okay. It's
really. Yeah. But okay. So now, you're not just dealing with your tongue in tasting. You're also dealing with your sinuses. Okay. And
Okay.
the biggest problem when you go and do a tasting outside is because of the air movement. You don't get smoke lingering enough that you're able to bring some of the smoke in through your nose while you're smoking to get a 100% uh, effect.
Well, last night, Russ, let me tell you, no wind, no nothing. It was just wafting there. It was perfect.
Oh well, then that's ideal. But a lot of people use what's referred to as retrohale.
And
Okay, and
that's blowing it out from your
out your
mouth,
nose.
out your
Out,
nose. Okay.
out your nose, you block, basically you block your throat off with your tongue, and then you just push the smoke out through your nose, and then this way your sinuses get enough of the smoke to be able to do it. Now there are a lot of people that's the way they smoke all the time.
That's the
they,
way I smoke all the time.
they're constantly retrohaling. And if you want to get the most nicotine out of what you're smoking, that's one way to do it.
Ah.
And you will get the maximum flavor that way, but it only lasts for about 3, 4, 5 puffs.
Ah.
And then after that, your sinuses start to get deadened.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
You don't notice it quite as much. So, if you're trying to put the whole package together beforehand, try to avoid fatty things. Try to avoid ice cream, milk, cheese, any dairy, because the fat will linger, and then it blocks off your taste buds. Make sure you have something that can cleanse your palate at hand while you're smoking, so that you get different concentrations of tobacco at different parts of the bowl. It's not this is not a 100% homogeneous product. This next layer that you're hitting may have a little more Perique, and the next layer may have a little more Virginia. So you want to cleanse your palate between puffs, because the next puff might be very different. And then the retrohale will also enhance the experience.
Now, would you sip the smoke, or you take a mouthful?
It really depends on the type of tobacco for me. Virginia dominant blends, I want to sip. But that's more because if those blends get hot, the flavor gets distorted very easily.
Okay.
If you're smoking a straight burley blend, yeah, you go ahead and puff, because you're probably not going to overheat that blend. And then the next thing is, reviews. You read all kinds of reviews, and people are breaking down flavors that they detect. You did it yourself when you were talking about Viprati.
Oh yeah.
What you've got to do in that case is you've got to basically clear your mind of any expectations. Because if I tell you that Viprati, when you get halfway down the bowl, is going to give you a burst of flavor like marzipan.
Are you just telling me this to make to influence me, or is that exactly what it is?
That's my point. You read a review, and sometimes if you read the review before you smoke it, you're going to smoke it and go, son of a bitch.
But let me tell you something, Russ. There is marzipan in there. There is.
Well, you will get combinations. Yeah, there's a bit of an almond note.
Yeah, there's a sweet almond thing.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. My God, it's Italian. It's
yeah,
Italian.
yeah. But if I told you ahead of time,
Then you would
you would
influence.
find it even if it wasn't there. Um, you know, that's why I avoid talking to people about one of my tobaccos before they've tried it.
Right. Okay.
Firestorm is a Virginia Perique with dark fired Kentucky in it. And it's got a lot of Perique, not a huge amount of dark fired Kentucky, but some very sweet Virginias. And when I put it together at first, I'm smoking through the beginning of the bowl and I'm going, oh, that's nice. That's nice. And I get about a third of the way into the bowl, and all of a sudden I went, cinnamon? Where the hell did we get cinnamon from? I didn't put any cinnamon in this. And yet other people say, yeah, I taste cinnamon too.
Okay. Okay.
But I try not to say that because I don't want to influence people
I understand. I understand.
into tasting something that may not exist. So go into it without any preconceived thoughts of what you're going to taste.
So don't read any reviews beforehand. Just
Yeah, avoid reviews. And then as you're smoking, what you're looking for is a flavor that jumps out at you. Okay. If you're smoking a burley, you'll probably come across notes of, if it's a white burley, you'll get notes of walnut or pecan. If you're smoking a dark burley, it's going to remind you of a cigar. If you're smoking a mahogany burley, which is darker than the white, lighter than the dark, you'll definitely pick up little hints of cocoa as you're smoking it. Virginias, hay, grass, maybe a little citrus. Red Virginias, toast and bread. And then, of course, aromatics kind of follow the whole thing up because it's got added flavors.
well,
so
it's an aromatic.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then you've got Latakia, which adds a campfire smoke versus dark fire Kentucky, which adds more of a barbecue smoke because they use aromatic hardwoods versus aromatic softwoods that's used to make Latakia. But people can also go ape shit with this.
You mean like invent stuff like
if you want to have yourself a blast, just go through a bunch of old cigar aficionado cigar reviews. Oh yes, I get hints of pencil lead.
But maybe they do, man. Maybe they do.
Maybe they do because they had a couple more scotch than they did the review.
Oh man, really, eh?
I've been smoking for over 40 years, and I think I've got a pretty good palate, and I've never tasted pencil lead. Ever.
What about wet cardboard? You never tasted wet cardboard in your blends?
Yeah, well, that's basically crappy burley.
Okay, there you go. There you go, man.
Yeah, I mean, I've run across that. But
Russ, what about corn? Did you ever, near the end of the bowl, the corn, a sweet corn, and you're not smoking in a corn cob. It's just the tobacco itself. You'll give you a sweet corn flavor.
Yeah, and that's mostly because the blend has Virginia in it, and when you get toward the bottom of the bowl, you've got some tars that have kind of accumulated because the tobacco acts as a filter as you're smoking. So the tobacco at the bottom gets kind of saturated with some of the tars from what you've already smoked. So that combines with the sugar in the Virginia, and it can give you, notes like corn or, um, some kind of a grainy, sweet flavor.
So it has nothing to do with crop rotation.
No, no, no.
Okay, because I thought
I
I thought
know of I know of no farmers who rotate tobacco and corn.
okay. I mean, I for some reason I was tasting a bit of corn, and I thought, don't tell me my palate has developed enough that I can taste the rotation of the farmer. I mean, are you kidding me? I'm gonna sell myself here. Okay, all right. I was
Yeah.
getting a bit too happy. Did you want to say something else?
No, no, no.
Now, you being a musician, this is going to make sense to you. If I say, let's say we're rehearsing together, I say, Russ, give me a rounder sound, okay? Give me a rounder sound, make it fattier. You're going to understand that.
Sure.
Now, I'm going to say the common person, the person who's not educated in music or is not a musician, that's like, it's like, Russ, give me some more browns in the bottom here. Give me some more browns.
Yeah.
So, do you use that in tobacco description? This is very round. It's very.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. A round flavor, I tend to associate with burleys
Okay.
because they don't have a lot of high notes.
See what you're saying there? You see?
And as long as we're not talking about dark burley, they don't have a lot of bass notes either. Everything's kind of in the mid range.
Now, is that blender's jargon? Like, would you sit with Pierre Jensen and you discuss this, and he knows exactly what you're talking about?
Oh yeah, well, the term bass note in regards to pipe tobacco is common.
Look at that.
To describe those deeper flavors. And I don't know if you're familiar with the brown note.
Wait, hold on. You're joking or what here?
Not really.
Okay, I thought you were going to make
I should say it's apocryphal, but having been a church organist, most of the organs that I played, the bass notes come from a 16-foot pipe. But if you go into a cathedral, you may even see 32-foot or 64-foot bass pipes. And there was this old story saying if you hit and held a deep enough bass note, it would make you crap your pants.
I knew there was something to it. I knew it.
That's the brown note.
That's the brown note. Okay, so basically, because sometimes when you go really, really deep, you don't hear it, but you feel it's something fierce.
Absolutely. Now, the 64-foot pipes are more visceral. You feel it in your gut far more than you hear it.
God, I feel like I would be sick if something hit me with that. That should be a weapon, man.
And probably could be used as one. Yeah.
Now, high, mid, and low. Where is that happening? Is that happening in our nose, or is that happening on our tongue, or in our sinuses, I should say?
It's both. It's both. You don't get the full range unless the tongue and the sinuses are involved.
Okay. Well, Russ, we're going to keep it short. That was an incredible lesson. I learned something, and that's what it's all about, me learning. Because, whatever. So, Russ, I'm going to play the outro and check it out. And stick around, please. And thank you, people, for watching. Not that there's anybody watching. It's taped, but you know what I'm saying. I'm faking it. So, thanks, Russ.
No problem.